Welcome, viewers and reviewers, to my awesome new stream setup. How's that look now? Yeah, now we got backgrounds, and you can actually see what I'm looking at on screen. So this is going to be awesome. Just let me set up some text. Do we have mirror mount on here? Yes, we do. So our first video of... Well, this current session is, of course, as you can see from the description, and as much as I have tweeted about it on here and talked about it on Facebook, this entire session is dedicated to the people that were rejected by Channel Awesome during their recent talent pickup. I was one of them, and unfortunately I didn't even make the top 75, which does disappoint me, but, well, you take what you can get. But thank you and congratulations to the 4 people from Reviewers Unknown who were picked up. Count Jacula, Horror Guru, Tony Goldmark, and Battle Geek Plus. So congratulations to everybody from Reviewers Unknown who did make it onto Channel Awesome. Our first video of the afternoon comes from Mad Matt. And it's a really short video, so it shouldn't be too tough to get through. Let's let's make sure that we have the set up. Set up Mad Matt here. And yeah, that should be enough. So let's how we doing in chat? Yeah, hey Ozzy. Yeah, you can see everything that appears on screen because that's just how this is going to work for a while. Until I can get a second monitor, that's just how it's going to have to be. But let's check out the first video from Mad Matt. Is he in the chat? If you are in the chat right now, Mad Matt, say hi. Otherwise, you're just going to have to view it on the... you're going to have to view it afterward. Let's take a look at what Mad Matt has. It's just an intro, so I don't know if they would pick up purely on that just for one, but we'll see how it is. Creepypasta. Putting the text over the video the whole time, because especially if we're gonna have other text on top of it like that, we want to choose a place that's out of the way. We already talked about map plays. bit anticlimactic at the end. You want to, when you're cutting an intro like that, you want to try to have a lot of kinetic energy. You really want to keep it moving. You don't want to have too many long shots unless you're specifically showing something happening, like a particularly long clip. You want to edit. You want to have a very quick edit, and you want to have music that fits the thing. The music was decent. I recognize the tune, but I can't say exactly what it is off the top of my head. But you want to have a lot of quick editing. You want to edit on a beat. That's an important thing. Okay, well, if Matt isn't around, then, well, he can take my... But the other than that, it was a decent enough intro. It showed a lot of what you did, but you want to choose clips, possibly even audio clips, of just, like, funny things you said or amazing things that have happened when you're doing these things, just to kind of show what, like, this is what my stream is about. This is the kind of stuff that's happened on my stream that you missed by not watching, or not my stream, but my channel or whatever. And the kind of stuff that you missed by not watching it, the kind of awesome stuff. Like if you look at Chugga Conroy's stuff, he has a lot of, he doesn't specifically have the clips, but there's a lot of clips available online of like the best of. So you want this to be kind of a best of reel. You want to have jokes and stuff on there that are like your best jokes, or things that you think are really clever, or just that worked out really well. I liked the special effects at the beginning, where you're like with a sword and fighting the Daleks and shit. That was nice, because I don't have a green screen. I want to pick one up soon, because I have a couple of jokes I want to do with that. But anything with a green screen, that automatically adds a bit of production value to this kind of stuff. I'm kind of a sucker for green screen effects, but you don't want to use them too much, of course. So yeah, those are my thoughts on those. F-Zero, yeah. I have not played those games too much. I've only played a little bit of Star Fox and a little bit of F-Zero. I've never played through them all the way. And F-Zero is just kind of a racing game, so a little bit of it is enough. But Star Fox, I never got into Star Fox, unfortunately. So our next video comes from former Reviewers Unknown member DukeCT. Hopefully it's not too long.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it is me.
22 minutes, yeah. I'm not going to be watching the whole thing. Sorry, Duke. Sorry, Charles. Let me change the name here. DukeCT. Move around to the center. That actually appears on screen. There we go. Alright. Duke, impress me. If I were Channel Awesome, what would you do to impress me?
DukeCT back with you once again to review some pro wrestling for you. And what wrestling company I'm going to be talking about, since I'm not talking in WWE until WrestleMania 30? I'm going to be talking about TNA, Total Nonstop Action.
Okay, well, right off the bat, you got a decent presence on screen. You know what you're doing. You got sort of an outfit going on, nothing too extreme. You got kind of the gloves, which is not that bad. You got the background. The background's decent enough. It just kind of shows that what else you're kind of into. You got the anime stuff in the background. It's not that bad.
I'm going to say this right now.
And then an immediate drop in quality with the mic.
I'm a fan of Total Nonstop Action. And right now, while it has some major flaws, like making AJ Styles and Sting in their last matches in TNA look like gods, their tag team championships are being held by the worst tag team in the wrestling business today, the Knockouts division is a shell of its former glory, and Magnus, the first ever British-born world champion in over 100 years, is made to be a complete goof. But with all that being said, I still enjoy Total Nonstop Action, with stars like Rockstar Spud, EC3, Samoa Joe, Eric Young, Austin Aries, and so on and so on. But I can see that a desperate shakeup was needed in Total Nonstop Action. Enter Montel.
Okay, well, when you do the cross-cut like that, you generally want to be able to cut to something else. So you might want to cut to a clip from the show which is, it makes it more difficult when you are doing a mixture of on-screen mic and voiceover mic, because there is that noticeable difference in quality. So if you did cut to a clip from the show instead of cutting to another shot of yourself, cross-cutting is a very, very iffy practice where you don't want to do it too often unless that's specifically your style. I mean, people like, I don't remember his name, the guy who did a lot of vlogs, who would always cross-cut to himself. A lot of fucking YouTubers do that, actually. But they would cross-cut between themselves. Hell, I would do that during my 1-minute rants, but that was part of the design. That was part of how it looked, and I always had L editing right there. So you'll always want to try to cut to something else to hide the fact that you edited out a section of yourself.
Fontavious Porter.
But it's a lot harder to hide when you are editing between, like I said, room stand-up noise and then voiceover mic.
MVP, the new TNA investor.
Also, I will say that I do not follow wrestling at all, so I don't recognize any of these names. So this is pretty useless video to me, but I'm sure Rob, he had to walk through all these kind of videos anyway, so
as he is bringing the
you're gonna come on this journey with me, viewers.
As not only he brought in new talent for the tag division in the Wolves, but he also is a nice foil for Dixie Carter until
yeah, I can barely hear you over the sound of the audio in the video. You really need to boost your mic or enunciate more, because I can barely hear you.
this statement.
Here to make TNA realize its maximum potential, and
Also, there can be an issue. That's probably why you have it on Daily Motion, because I'm sure these things get flagged constantly on Blip and YouTube. These clips from TNA and the wrestling, they're a very protective company. I'm even a bit wary doing this on my stream right now. So, I'm gonna skip ahead to the next time you're on screen.
winner assumes complete control of TNA Wrestling Audience.
MVP's team with himself, the new tag team, the Wolves, and the charismatic enigma himself, Jeff Hardy, taking on Dixie Carter's team with team captain Bobby Roode. If Roode wins, he gets 10% of total nonstop action. Also, with his partner, he has Austin Aries, the greatest man that ever lived, and the two men on Team Dixie that will help assure her victory. The tag team champions, the Bromans.
One of these things is not like the others. Which one is different? Do you know? Can you tell which thing is not like the others? I'll tell you if it is.
Again, there's that opacity thing. If you just move this picture up a little bit more, you wouldn't have the overlay happening right here.
So.
Cue the theme song.
And 3.5 minutes in, you finally get into the theme. Wow. Okay, now this is weird because you have the double letterboxing going on. This is always a really big thing that bugs me because now you have the full screen here. Crop this.
So.
Yeah, crop that section out so it actually.
Cue the theme song.
Yeah, crop this. This is like a perfect size to crop. You just stretch that up wider so it covers the full screen. You don't need to have a double letterboxing going on right here. You can obviously do overlays. I'm sure your software can do cropping. Again, you got a weird green line here. I'm sure you can crop that out. The problem with having an aspect ratio like this is you really have to choose whether you want to crop it or leave it letterboxed, or you could even stretch it in some cases. Because there's a lot of dead space on the top here. You could probably cut that out and crop this to 16:9.
TNA Lockdown took place on March 9th, 2014 in the Bank United Center in Miami, Florida. And our first match of the evening is an interpromotional 6-man tag match representing TNA. It is the greatness that is Bad Influence.
Skipping ahead to, because I'm worried about getting content ID on this stuff.
More than one time during the whole push for Lockdown. I mean, I don't know about you, but if you have a living legend,
if you have a living legend, you have to load the video.
like the Great Buddha, shouldn't you be shouting it from the rooftops? Shouldn't you be, advertising it? I mean, personally, if I was running TNA, I would have had this like a 3-way main event. You had the Great Buddha and his Wrestle 1 top guys going against TNA's best. And then you have Magnus and Joe and then leave Lockdown. That's so simple. It's easy. That's a 3-way main event. Something like, oh my gosh, there could have been something, oh my gosh, WWE will never have something like this. You have Great Muta. You got Great Muta in there. You got Great Muta with 2 of his young stars taking on TNA's best. That would have been great. But instead, barely a people. You know what gets the most hype during the whole push for Lockdown? Tiger Uno. And no disrespect to Tiger Uno, and he does show that he is really good, but Tiger Uno, he's Tiger Uno.
I don't know who any of these people are.
He's relatively a nothing compared to the Great Muta. The Great Muta is living, walking, breathing wrestling history, TNA. Come on! God damn it, TNA. Every time you have 1 foot forward, you take 10,000 steps back. Anyway, let's get to the match, as it was a...
So, one thing they did mention was... The thing that they do is they were trying to avoid people who just kind of stand in front of the stuff talking, which I guess a lot of us were guilty of. But the idea here is, you're going over this episode that a lot of people have seen, and you are doing your thoughts on it, but it's tough for me to get invested because I didn't really follow wrestling. Wrestling is just a thing that is not that's just nothing that I ever got into. The closest thing I ever got into was like WMAC Masters, and I barely remember that. But the idea here is, what can you bring differently to this other than just recapping this for people who maybe didn't see it or wanted to see your thoughts on it? So you have to think, are you designing this for people who didn't see it, or for people who did see it and want your opinion on it? If it's one or the other, then there are different things that you would have to do. If people have seen it and they just want your opinion on it, then you could just do it kind of like a vlog style with just kind of you there and just talking about it, which would lower production value considerably, but it would also make it quicker to get out, and you can make it more ephemeral and more, again, quicker to get out, so people can immediately go into it to get your thoughts because there's less editing involved. You could easily do something like write a script and get over that, but something like this where you're actually showing the clips of the fights and recapping it, I will admit that I have absolutely no interest in this, and I'm also worried about the content ID. But I'm going to skip to the end here to see what else you have to say about near the ending.
Bobby Roode gets some wood as he is put through the table by Bully Ray to start their feud. So that was TNA Lockdown 2014. My thoughts? This show was, for the most part, a very good wrestling show. You had some really good matchups, a good segment from EC3, and a very fun main event. The only negatives on the show was Saul and Anderson and the finish from the world title match. But other than that, this was a very good pay-per-view. I give a very strong 7 out of 10.
What I would recommend you doing is try recording your, just as an experiment, try recording the room audio and the voiceover audio in the same place. So you just record the parts where you know you're going to be on screen, then the parts where you know you're going to be showing clips, just look down and read from the script. If you look at the how Nostalgia Critic does his videos, if you look at the making of, which I'm sure you can find on YouTube, you can tell exactly what I'm talking about. You just alternate between your on-screen and your reading from the script. Just as an experiment, you could try doing that, just so the audio will sound consistent. Will sound more consistent. That's the biggest thing that I can say, is that there's a major disjoint between the on-screen audio and the voiceover audio, which does get really distracting, especially when the voiceover audio is not all that great quality.
Well, that's it for me, DukeCT. Peace and love. I'll see y'all when I see y'all later.
And again, really, really loud audio at the end, which is kind of okay. You got a Simpsons clip in there? I didn't even see that.
Look, ain't nothing changed but the lane. Your voice still shining like the diamonds on my chain. As long as blood's flowing through my veins, you can count on one thing, I got money on my brain. Land of the rising sun, got the pretty girls falling.
Okay, I don't want to get a content ID from that. Okay, again, I will admit that I don't know too much about wrestling, but the way I see it is the way that you are doing it. I like your passion. You seem to know your stuff. You seem to really care about this kind of thing. How did you get official on Dailymotion? Wow. Congratulations, I guess. I don't know how Dailymotion official content works, but what is that even? Video monetization platform. So yeah, I guess you're able to monetize on Dailymotion, which, yeah, congratulations for that. I don't know how difficult that is, but that's good. Again, try to make sure that you just go for the audio. I do like how much passion you have about it. I like how much you seem to care about what you're talking about, how knowledgeable you seem to be, and you seem to be really comfortable in front of the camera. That's all really good. The biggest problem is the audio, the disjoint between the on-screen audio and the voiceover, so try to do something to work on that. Next we have another warning for content ID, but this is a review, whatever, I can fuck it.
I think it's agreed upon that the hardest thing for any band to do is to name themselves. The second hardest thing to do is to deal with having a female singer. Well, the focus is on her instead of the other guys who are just as or more important than the singer.
I'm reminded of No Doubt. And I'm also very much focusing on your thermostat over in the corner there. I don't want to make fun too much of your setup, because I'm sure you this is like the best part of, I'm guessing this is the best part of your house or room that you can record in. I really shouldn't make fun too much. But again, putting some more maybe posters up or something to not make the background so empty. It depends on where you're going to be shooting.
Yeah, that is true. But the thing with the Pretenders is that Chrissy Hynde just happened to be a chick. If the Pretenders had some dude named Chris Hynde singing for them, their story would be exactly the same. Almost the same thing with the Cranberries. The only difference with them is that Dolores O'Riordan was slightly more sexualized, especially in those dark days of 1996. Anyways, I'm talking.
Well, what was the problem with 1996? I am only vaguely familiar with the Cranberries. I know like one or two of their songs, but I'm not quite familiar with what happened in 1996. Maybe show a clip or newspaper article or something to explain what you're talking about in 1996.
About bands like No Doubt, where Gwen Stefani was so much the face that there were other dudes in the band, let alone remembering their names. Same thing with Evanescence. Though to be fair, they were just Amy Lee and a whole bunch of random dudes. Now before I release a dissertation on this topic, let's talk about the current rock band with a girl singer, Paramore.
Okay, so apparently this is your main setup. Well, again, you really should crop this area so you can see it more. Because you got the double letterboxing thing, which really isn't necessary. You should only have to letterbox the top or the side, the top and bottom or the sides. Because otherwise, you can just stretch this out so it fills up the whole screen. Kesha.
Paramore is a power pop band that formed in 2004. They are singer Hayley Williams, and that's it! From a legal standpoint, Paramore is only Hayley Williams. The other guys are just mere sidemen. Now, how this happened, why this happened, the band's thought on this contract thing, to my video, it's irrelevant. It is what it is. Now, let's pretend that the other guys, in the band are legally part of Paramore. Then we have bassist Jeremy Davis.
See, right here, he's doing what I was talking about, where you are recording the same audio in the room as you are showing in the voiceover. So it's a much more smooth transition between on-screen and cutaways.
Rhythm guitarist Hunter York and the Farrell brothers, lead guitarist Josh and drummer Zach. In 2005, they released their debut album, All We Know Is Falling, with a decent pressure. I can feel the pressure.
Again, double letterboxing, just pointing that out. When you are letterboxing like this, if the video itself is already letterboxed, you could just set it up to crop it. Just set up to crop it by 16 by 9. Especially if you're working in 16 by 9, then you don't have to do much else.
Didn't exactly set the world on fire or even charts, but you could tell that the band had some chops, and after relentless touring, they became a band to watch with this great potential. In 2007, they released their follow-up album, Riot, and their potential was fulfilled when they released the Kick-Ass Misery Business, which tore up the charts. And then came Crush, 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 which made me take notice of their musicianship.
See, if you had double letterboxed, see, this is how it should be, like that, with a 16 by 9. It should be full screen. It should be full frame here.
What? Don't believe me? Check out this guitar chart from Rock Band. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Then came...
That didn't seem all that crazy for a Rock Band. That seemed kind of a fairly standard riff for Rock Band.
What? Don't believe me? Check out this guitar chart from Rock Band. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Then came Twilight. Paramore put a couple songs on the soundtrack, one of which was Decode, which was nothing major, just one of my favorite songs of all time. I'm not kidding. I completely love this song. The soaring vocals, the emotions, that riff, everything is perfect. And I thought if Paramore kept this up, they were going to be a band that would change things not seen since Nirvana.
Yes, seriously.
Yeah, I was being completely serious then. I totally thought that way back in 2008. And then kept their new album, 2009's Brand New Eyes, and their lead single, Ignorance. And those hopes were dashed. They retreated to their tried and true sound. And it's not bad per se, but I was expecting so much more. And that's dangerous thinking, I know, because I like to judge things as they are instead of what they should be. But I thought Soft Like Decode was going to be the Paramore sound of the future. And it wasn't. At least that album spawned their biggest hits with The OK Is the Only Exception.
You are the only exception. You are the only exception.
Then came the bombshell. The Farrell brothers were quitting the band in anger. And the fallout from that is how we know that Paramore only is Hayley Williams. You know, legally.
You do seem really stiff, because you almost never move from this spot. You gesture occasionally.
So now Paramore,
but you just
now
kind of
trio,
be like
took a couple years to make their
at
next
the camera.
move. In 2011, they put a song on the soundtrack to the third Transformers movie, the subject of today's video, the Top 40 Monster. Sure, on the surface, Monster isn't far removed from their other songs, but dig a bit deeper and you find a band running scared and trying to find their footing as a trio. Even the production values are running scared in this one. The song doesn't sound crisp or clear. The guitar sounds sludgy. The bass is barely audible. You can barely understand what Hayley is singing about, and the song as a whole just sounds murky. As for the actual music, it sounds like the band thought to themselves, what would the Pharaohs do? And like it or not, to me, the Farrell brothers were the musical talent of Paramore. Or at the very least, Josh was. Because they always drove the band to new musical directions. And this just sounds like a rehash instead of doing something new. As for the lyrics, it tells a story about broken trust. Or monsters. Or something. I don't get it. Let that be a lesson to you kids. Don't ever trust ice. It just melts eventually.
Yeah, I don't know about that joke. It seems like you were desperate for a joke in there. But it just didn't work.
The bottom of what? I'm going to guess ocean to keep up with this water theme, but Hayley Williams is usually a lot clearer than that.
I'm only human. I've got a skeleton in me.
That's right, a skeleton. None of these pesky organs or nostrils or soul. A skeleton is what makes a human a human. Oh, your desires! The world is yours! Take it! Hey, look, this may be the only time I get to quote Alexander, and I'm going to take it, no matter how forced this is. As for the chorus, despite how nonsensical the lines are, it does have that spark of Paramore in it. And that's the song for you guys. It seems like a case where the band just threw a song on a soundtrack and thought, hey, if this song sucks, which it kind of does, it won't be the end of the world. And you can't really escape the bad production, the lazy lyrics, or just the lazy sound in general. So, what's happening with Paramore.
The way I see it, it really does kind of feel like you're reading from a script. You need to have more. The first thing that comes to mind is somebody like the Blockbuster Buster, where the first video I ever saw of his, he immediately drew my attention because you could tell how much he cared about this stuff, because he had that quick transition between talking about the movies and an outburst that actually fit within what he was talking about. You just kind of have the same, it's not really monotone, but it's just kind of the same level the whole time. There's no ups or downs in the way you talk.
In 2013, Paramore released their first album as a trio, a self-titled effort, with the shockingly, extremely likable Still Into You. Now the band is still promoting that album, so there's obviously nothing new on the horizon. But for me, the band needs to have a drastic change if they're going to survive. Now, why I like Still Into You, it does sound complacent, and Paramore is capable of great things. They touch greatness. They are more than capable of being great. I think they just need to beg the Farrell brothers to come back with any means necessary. Begging, knees, groveling, making them actual legal members. Whatever it takes. Because Paramore recycling themselves and becoming the next AC/DC, where every album they release, it sounds exactly the same, is not their future. It cannot be their fate. So, until next time, if you think you like a band, chances are you haven't heard that other song yet.
I like the idea behind the series.
That's what you get when you let your heart win. Whoa, that's what you get when you let your heart win. Whoa, I drowned out all my sense when the sound of its beating.
Yeah, I think like this, you really do need to show all of the credits. Okay, Oh dear. Yeah, I left it up saying DukeCT. That was not DukeCT. That was, that other song. It's pstergos. That was not DukeCT. That was pstergos. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put an annotation over that. But any thoughts from the chat on that video? Any thoughts from the rest of you before we get into the next one? He linked another one for Stained, but I'm going to skip that. Okay, well, our next video comes from ShortFatOtaku. And looking at the background, they are definitely an otaku. This is, just looking at this is fine. This is a fine setup. This is similar to what Linkara had, what Spoonie has set up. There's nothing really wrong with this kind of a setup. There's even a lot going on in the background. There's plenty to look at. Even the couch, the plaid couch. It's stupid, but yeah, that's just perfectly fine. It even looks better than a solid color couch, I guess. Yeah, let's. How long is this one? This is 20 minutes. Let's take a look at ShortFatOtaku's video. Again, 20 minutes. I might skip through some of it. Ooh, Tostitos.
Feels good to be back.
Yeah, ギャル男宣言
俺ギャルを始めました BK 卒業パンツクタクタっていうか昨日も渋谷好きな食べ物はシーザーサラダガングロメッシュにガラコンレンズパラパラダンスの猛練習パラダイスに陶酔表現中ギャル男ステイチューン金じゃら銀じゃら銀ギラピンマルキューセールは仁義なし全身バリバリやっぱり B3C LLO キノコ食べましたトランス聞きました調子上がってきたみんなが大好きだ
Okay, effects-wise, that's impressive. For being a low-budget production, that's pretty damn good. They look over the top and way campy, but I'm sure that's what you're going for there.
New roommates, new SFO room, new anime to review, and what better way to kick off Season 4 of ShortFatOtaku than the most acclaimed anime of 2013?
Attack on Titan needs no introduction. It is simultaneously one of the most popular and one of the highest quality anime shows out there. Generally, anime tends to trend one way or another, mass popular appeal, or quality storytelling and art, but Titan's got it all, baby.
It's gonna be hard to discuss this one the way that I want without spoiling the plot, so let's cover all the technicals before we dig deep.
The art is very good. Top quality stuff.
See, this guy manages to do it right, do it really well. With the voiceover microphone is still really good. It's even better than the room mic. Which, if you're gonna go one way, use whichever one sounds better for the voiceover. And if you're gonna have the room mic, that's gonna be what you're gonna do. There was, in my older videos, I actually used the same mic for the room as I did for normal, and I just kind of hung it overhead on kind of a boom, and then I just edited the audio into that later. So I just made sure that everything synced up, and I actually did have to use a clapper to sync everything up.
Especially when you compare it to the manga. I mean, come on! It's not flawless, though. You can tell things were rushed, likely to try and keep up with the pace of releasing a new episode weekly, while still keeping the quality high. The glowing purple unfinished stone sidewalk bricks spring to mind on this one. It's almost like Aaron's foot fungus is so bad, it's radioactive. And then there are times where a scene is drawn with a low frame rate, or a low level of detail, but is hidden very well. Like here, watch the sequence of the Recon Corps capturing a Titan. Pretty intense stuff, right? Probably so intense that you didn't really notice the 4-second aftermath shot of the heroes riding away looks like a flip book. But that's what I mean. Unlike a lot of other anime shows, Attack on Titan knows how to hide its blemishes when it's forced to cut corners.
Which is almost something that you can put to work when you're doing reviews. You use what you can to make it look as good as possible, but sometimes if you do something really bad, it will kind of stand out. So you just got to make sure that if something does stand out, you can try to hide it as much as possible. You put the effort into what you can, but sometimes a lot of the really minor things will stand out.
And that is a rare thing. The music, like the art, is stellar quality. I've been listening to some of the tunes in the OST for like 8 months straight now, and they haven't even gotten old yet. That never happens with me. My only real complaint is that the musical score tends to rely on one specific riff too frequently. You know which one it is, but even then, that's a minor issue. It's remixed enough to remain fresh, and there's still other tracks to enjoy.
Unfortunately, I couldn't hear the music that you were talking about, so you probably should have upped the audio, the music, for a little bit, just so we could hear what they're talking about. So we could hear exactly what you're talking about, and then you could drop it back down underneath your voiceover.
Hell, even the silly J-pop and butchered English songs are actually tolerable. That's something I have never said about any anime before. You know the music does something right when the English evokes an emotion other than laughter so hard, my sides go into orbit. The main trio of characters are well defined, and though they begin as anime stereotypes, they quickly develop and take on personalities of their own. Eren is the plucky hero, not particularly intelligent, but full of fire and always willing to do the right thing. Mikasa is the overprotective sister turned potential lover type to Eren, displaying both a superior physical ability and a near irrational attachment to Eren. Armin is the small, weak, cowardly guy with a sharp mind and wit to him. You can see these stereotypes all over pretty much every other anime. The business thrives on this stuff. But unlike pretty much every other show, Attack on Titan develops these characters over time. Eren turns very dark very quickly, and as the story goes on, both his initial optimism and his later bloodthirsty tendencies are tempered together into a realistic core. Mikasa's attachment to Eren is explained in depth, rather than simply being author-insert wish fulfillment, and unlike similar characters, she's not a one-trick pony. In Eren's absence, she shows the traits of a leader, commanding military forces and operations, and even when Eren's not involved, her combat skills are second to none. Armin, unlike other brainy characters, actually begins to develop a cruel side, often hidden by his shy face. He's not above lying through his teeth or psychologically manipulating people for the sake of the mission. Outside of these three, though, the other characters are pretty much by the book, at least until the second half of the series. They don't get much development or screen time, and often just exist to be killed brutally in order to reinforce just how much of a shitty world it is they live in. And yeah, there's a lot of death in this one. In fact, that's the point of the first episode, to set you up with this peaceful world only to kaboom! Completely fuck everything up. The basics of the plot are as follows. It's the future, I think, though I'm not sure how far into it. The world is populated by titans, mindless humanoid giants that do nothing but eat humans and only humans. The last bastion of humanity is a gigantic walled area several hundred square kilometers across, taller than any known titan. That is, until a titan 10 meters taller than the highest point on the wall shows up, and decides to kick the front door down. Which goes pretty much how you'd expect, and Attack on Titan pulls no punches in showing just how badly things get.
Alright, from now on there are going to be major spoilers. If you haven't seen this anime yet, seriously, go watch it. It is the best anime show of 2013. And it's even in my top 5 personal favorites of all time. That being said, let's start getting our hands dirty.
Okay, I kind of want to stop here, because I've heard a lot of good things about Attack on Titan, and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, so I'm going to skip to near the end and see what you're able to pull
Alright, you
off.
got your Attack on Titan cologne, you got your Attack on Titan hamburger. It's fucking everywhere. You want to shave so close, it would theoretically sever a nervous system embedded in the nape of a gigantic roaming humanoid? Real men use Gillette razors. Gillette, the best a man can get. Wait, this is from Chic? Well, fuck. What ship's theme song? Hey, what ship's theme song? Ah, fuck it.
can. Spins a web any size. Catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man.
Also, you don't seem to be either short or fat. So, you're a liar. I really had no problems with that other than having to skip through most of it because of the spoilers, because I didn't know at what point the spoilers would stop. So I guess you could say what point to skip ahead to if you don't want spoilers. That's one bit of suggestion that I can give, but other than that, there's really no issues. The audio was great on the thing. The only thing I can suggest is get a slightly better mic for room audio, but again, it's really difficult to get a good sound when you have to deal with the room echo. So again, that's kind of how you have to do it. But yeah, I really have no problems with that. The only reason I would think, were you in the SFL? Were you in the top 75? Because the only thing that I would think of as why you weren't picked up is the fact that they already have quite a good number of anime reviewers on the site already. So they would just kind of be redundancy there. What you're doing is good, but it's not exactly original. There's plenty of anime reviewers out there already. But keep doing what you're doing, and I'm sure you'll get plenty of fan base. I'm sure you're definitely getting enough fan base right now. So I really got no complaints with that, other than the fact that I had to skip most of it. I'm disappointed that I couldn't watch the rest of it because of the spoilers. But I have heard so many people talking about Attack on Titan, and I kind of brushed it off because everybody always says every anime is the greatest anime ever, right? Anytime you ask somebody about an anime, there's somebody out there who's going to say, "Oh my god, Sailor Moon is the greatest anime ever," or Hamtaro is the greatest anime of all time. It's like, it's always goddamn. Yeah, the chat is pretty damn lagging. Yeah, the chat is pretty far behind what I'm saying. So that's why I said it in the chat, so I could get a response from him instead of having to wait for my audio. Instead of wait for my audio to get to him. So yeah, that was ShortFatOtaku. Be sure to check him out if you like his stuff. And we got one more video to look at before we finish up for the day. It's a short enough video. It's only 6 minutes. This is from eDog. This is from eDog on YouTube. So let's check the last video out. See, this is what I'm talking about. You want to have really quick clips, and it is editing on every beat of the song. The clips seem a bit random, but you want to have interesting, kind of action-packed clips to show. The only other thing that I could suggest is you think about clip motion. Like right here, you have the characters moving like down to the down in this direction. I'm pointing at my screen with my hand, which doesn't work. You have the character moving down in this direction, so you might want to have, on the next clip, you have something happening over in this way. So your eyes are kind of drawn around the screen as you're editing through. That's something that I always kind of try to do in a lot of my videos, is where you look at where the action is going. Like right here, the action is going down there, and then he stops with him blocking, which is almost kind of works. In fact, I would almost say the editing is too quick, that you can't even see what's going on in them. Also, I'd kind of pick a better song, because that song is kind of minimalist. The quick editing really kind of works for more bombastic, pump-you-up songs.
Considering the fact that I've been gaming for the past 20 years of my life, I have definitely seen my share of Donkey Kong titles. Whether it's the old school arcade title, the Donkey Kong Country series for the SNES, or even a title that requires bongos to play, this is definitely one series that is both ambitious and distinctive. So, once again, I'll be taking a look at the newest entry to the DKC series with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. So, does this title have what it takes to warm the hearts of critics and gamers everywhere, especially considering the Wii U's poor sales? Well, only time will tell, but that won't stop me from taking a look at this icy trip back to Kong Island. So this game begins with our hero DK celebrating his birthday with his friends Dixie, Diddy, and Cranky. But little does he know that his island is about to be invaded. Well, he doesn't know, but he should, considering it's happened at least 4 separate times beforehand. However, instead of the usual Kremling foes, DK must face off against an army of penguins, walruses, owls, and seals as they've commandeered his island and turned it into a winter wonderland.
How come the walruses have to be evil?
Now, DK here does not like frozen bananas, so he and his allies set off to reclaim his island and stop this polar vortex before it gets any worse. So those of you who know anything about the DKC series probably have already guessed that this title is a 2D platformer, and you've probably also guessed that you will be able to gain control of various Kongs. As you progress through each stage, you'll find barrels which allow you to use each respective Kong. Diddy uses his jetpack to help you hover as he did in Donkey Kong 64 and Donkey Kong Country Returns. Dixie uses her ponytails to allow you to hover for short periods and also reach higher heights, and Cranky bounces on his cane, which can help you bypass dangerous foliage. Now, I can't quite put my finger on it, but I feel like Cranky plays oddly similar to another game I just played recently. Now, what was it? It'll come to me eventually. A new addition to this game, which is reminiscent of Super Mario Bros. 2, is the ability to pull items out of the ground. While not called upon extremely frequently, it can also be used to make platforms appear, find hidden tokens, and even pull a sunken ship from the depths. I'm fairly certain that physics don't work that way, but on the other hand, this is a game about apes fighting penguins, so yeah. There are overall 6 worlds to explore, with each containing around 6 levels leading up to their respective boss battles. However, if you collect all hidden puzzle pieces and Kong letters in many stages, then you will unlock alternate paths to the secret levels. Also, after each level is completed, you can participate in the time attack mode. Now let's get to the reviewing. Graphically speaking, this game is gorgeous. Not only are the Kongs very well rendered to the point that you can individually see their strands of hair, but the levels are masterfully designed as well. Whether it is a fire on a savanna, a ride through fruity vines, or even a stylized avalanche, you can rest assured that this game took full advantage of the Wii U's graphical capabilities. Speaking of level design, let's talk about the gameplay. Now, some of you may look at this game and think to yourself, this is one of the newer Nintendo games, so I'll bet that they make it extremely easy on the player and hold your hand the entire way. Oh, you're funny. If there's one thing that you can rest assured about the Donkey Kong Country series, it's that the games show absolutely no mercy, and this game takes that concept and turns it up to 11. Now, it's really not too hard to get extra lives, and if you wish to abuse your deaths, you can actually farm for Kong tokens to in turn purchase power-ups. But here's how the levels mostly go down. you will need to take your time to ensure that you can properly make your jumps. At the same time, you usually don't have that time to take. With this concept in mind, and the addition of ever-evolving enemies, not to mention 3-stage boss fights that get exponentially harder, just be prepared to listen to this sound bit a lot. Yeah, you like that? Actually, let's hear it again. I don't think you've had enough. Let's listen to it a few more times, shall we?
I get what you're doing here. It's a decent enough bit, but you want to try to show all the different times that you died. You want to, don't just show the same clip over and over again. You want to show each time, show a different clip of each time you dying.
Okay, I think you get it. But oddly enough, this game never really felt unfair, as I felt that I should be able to make jumps if I thought a little faster. But you know what probably kept me the most calm throughout this game? The amazing soundtrack. Composer David Wise reprises his role as the composer from the original Donkey Kong Country titles, and he does a masterful job in both the new tracks and the beautifully remixed classic tracks from the first 3 games. Honestly, if you never even bother to play this game, I would highly recommend checking out the soundtrack because it's just that good. So, while this game can make you feel a massive roller coaster of emotions, I would still recommend giving it a try if you want to check out another DukeCT title, or if you want to give yourself a nice little challenge. But, regardless of your choice, I know that I'll be going bananas with this game once again, and in the end, I see nothing wrong with that.
Donkey King. Really good video, actually. The biggest thing I can say is try to make them... I don't know how often that came. That came out in February. You got, what, 200? Trying to see how many videos you actually have. Trying to look at the rest of your channel here. Your most recent video was 1 day ago, and you seem to be putting out videos pretty much every week or so.
Reviews of video games? Do you like reviews of video games that don't involve someone screaming into the webcam for half an hour? If you answer yes to any of these questions, then eDog Reviews may just be the channel for you. If you're interested...
Yeah, I'm getting audio from a video that isn't even playing anymore. Yeah, all I wanted to do was check out the rest of the stuff in the title. This is a decent enough channel. You got stuff almost every... Dark Souls 2, nice. You got stuff pretty often. You got stuff that was a week ago. You got a Shovel Knight review from a day ago. Yeah, that's good. You want to try to keep up that kind of momentum for like each new video. You kind of did have a lull with it. About 16 videos in the last 8 months. But again, if you can put out like a new video every week, then that'll get a lot of... That definitely shows a lot of promise. You got 112 views with only 231 subscribers, which is really, really decent. Especially after a week. I'm lucky if I get that much after a week with one of my videos. So, again, that was really good. eDog, excellent. So, I suppose that does it for this episode of Reviewniversity. Everybody take care. Try to take my suggestions to heart, and if you liked anything you saw, there'll be information in the description bar. And be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see everybody later. Bye-bye. Although, if anybody has any questions before I go, be sure to share them. I suppose I shouldn't have said bye-bye like that so quickly. RBG. Oh, I'll have to look at that one in the next one because we're already hitting the... sorry, RBG. We're going to have to take a look at that one next week. I'll add it right to the top of the queue, so we'll take a look at it first one. Duke, your video was... I didn't think your video was all that bad. It's just... It concerned information that I really didn't care about. I didn't really give a I really don't care about wrestling. And, I mean... You had plenty of stuff, but mostly the technical aspects did leave a bit lacking. I'm sure if people... the only ones that I do follow talking about wrestling is Spoonie, and that's just because Spoonie is so goddamn charismatic when he talks about this kind of stuff. I guess I just like seeing him bitch. So I guess I'm not really the right person to review your wrestling video in terms of what the actual content is. Mostly I can look at it from a technical aspect. Yeah, sorry, SFO. If you could link something else, another one of your videos that I don't, for an anime that I don't really care about, if it is similar in that line, unless you put a whole lot of effort into the Attack on Titan video. But yeah, I will take a look at the RBG's production in the next episode. Well, the only reason I would think that they wouldn't pick it up is, again, because it is very similar to a lot of other reviewers on the site. They don't really need more video game reviewers. Video game reviewers are not exactly in short supply, so they can only pick up the ones that are insanely entertaining. And yours was good, but it wasn't spectacular, which I guess is what they need. Yeah, next time, Duke, if you want me to take a look at one, I'll be doing this again next week, so you can send in a video game review, something that... Video games are something that I actually do know, so I can give a more in-depth analysis on that. Yeah, one thing about copyrighted music is you do really want to be careful. The song I used in mine, I actually did get permission from the guy who did the original theme, the theme that I used in Video Game Bunker. I got permission from the guy who did the original theme, who, even though it is a cover of it is a cover of the original Mega Man song, it has such a great sound to it that I asked him, and he actually friended me on Facebook. I play on his Minecraft server sometimes, so it is also a good way to get cross-promotion out there, where you can plug whoever recorded the song, and then you get plugs back from the people that you're using their song in your videos. So it's a good way to get some cross-promotion going. But yeah, that does it for Reviewniversity today. Everybody take care, and if you're not having fun, you're not something. I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say. Everybody, take care, everybody.